So I'm going to come out and say it. Inspiration is 100% overrated. I haven't been inspired to take photographs in months. I haven't had any major epiphanies from God or seen any crazy visions, but I've been making some of my best work to date. And I think that's because it's not about inspiration, but discipline and consistency. I'll be the first to admit, I'm a bit all over the place. I'm not really great at juggling a lot of things, and I like to do a lot of things. So being organized in my life can be a bit of a challenge. However, if you do enough street photography, you'll quickly realize that there's a direct correlation between the amount of miles you walk and the amount of good photos you get and the amount of those photos that are actually good keepers. So I think the best way to explain this is through a sports analogy. You're not going to get better at shooting free throws if you don't practice shooting free throws. And you're especially not going to be good at them during the game if you didn't practice them during practice. And I think that's the exact same thing for art. You have to practice your craft even when you're not feeling it or motivated or really getting that inspiration moment that you need to make the great art you think you're going to make. You have to be practicing it day in and day out. I think the best analogy for this is what my guitar teacher once told me. He said, I don't want to have to think. When I was learning how to play jazz guitar, he's like, you don't want to think. The song's complicated enough, the music's hard enough, and I think that's the same thing with street photography. It's hard enough to get your exposure right, get in the right position, get in the right spots. I don't want to think. I want to be at a point in my photography where I show up and the images start pouring out. I'm able to see the scenes I want, go capture them, not fumble with my camera, not think in my head, how would I compose that or have to take a second. I want it to be organic. And I think there's a way to get there that's both fun and consistent. And I think that's the beauty of it. Because if you can make practice fun, then you're going to want to go to practice. There are different ways to create that fun while still being able to photograph quite a bit. I think the first one is just making other street photography friends. Honestly, having friends that shoot has been one of the greatest things just from a photographic standpoint, but also for my personal life. It's wonderful to meet new people and to have people who have shared interests with you. And I think it also helps because they're great pick-me-ups. When I don't feel like going out, sometimes they'll text me and be like, hey, are you coming out? Or if there's a cool event, I'll get notified of it. Or if I'm just wandering the streets by myself and it's been 4 hours and I'm starting to get bored, because let's be real, after a while it's not all action, right? It's amazing running into someone, even if we don't walk with them, but just being able to say hi or go grab a lunch or a coffee just makes everything better that day. And so I think that's the best thing to do when it comes to building a practice is A, start by making friends who do it with you. You also feel a lot less crazy. I like knowing that I'm not the only one who enjoys taking candid photos of strangers. It's kind of a weird thing. And most street photographers are a pretty friendly bunch. So next time you're out and you see someone shooting or doing what they think is street photography, go up and say hi. There's a good chance you'll either strike up a good conversation, get their Instagram account, or most of the time when I meet people, I end up walking with them for hours that day because they're bored too. So this next idea, it might sound like I'm creating work, but I promise you I'm not. It's just setting a schedule. I don't mean you have to have a calendar event or set meetings with yourself. That'd be a little ridiculous. But having a general idea of when you'd like to shoot and how often you're going to shoot really does help. For example, I like to shoot on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If I get extra days, that's awesome. I also try and shoot like one day on the weekend assuming I get a chance not out of town or don't have other plans. And I try and squeeze it in where I can. So like if I'm commuting to work on foot, I shoot in the morning and on my walk home. If I have some downtime and I'm bored, I go out and shoot. But having that schedule of knowing, at least if none of those things happen, I can still shoot on Tuesday and Thursday afternoon after work. I don't think it really matters how you do it. Execute some time each week that you have designated to go for photography where you try and avoid all the things and leave things at home, then I think you're great. I think the last thing to think about is just, are you exploring? Street photography is all about documenting life. And part of that is experiencing life while you document. It shouldn't just be this cold binary experience. I think exploration is huge, whether it be through meeting new people or just even exploring different neighborhoods or different areas. For example, when I'm out shooting, I never bring food. I might pack a snack, but for the most part, I actually enjoy using street photography as a method to go try new things. If I'm in a different neighborhood than I'm normally in, I'm going to go try a restaurant there, or I'm going to go grab a pizza at this pizza place I've never been. And it's been a great opportunity for me to A, understand different communities, different neighborhoods, but B, I just like eating. So I like to see and taste new things. I think the essential thing, especially as part of exploration, is just making the process of making the photos enjoyable. If grabbing a bite to eat makes it enjoyable, then do it. Obviously, you have to like the photographing part, but I also like the eating part. Or the just visiting a new neighborhood or getting a drink somewhere afterwards. All those things contribute to a really enjoyable and fun street photography experience. And I think it's important to enjoy the process. Yeah, I really do. Because if you enjoy it and you have fun, and you enjoy the exploration aspect of it, then you will eventually have better photos because those photos will reflect that. And people can tell when your photos are good, and people can tell how you're feeling. If I'm not feeling good, I'm not feeling in it, then my photos aren't going to be as good. But if I am exploring and enjoying the process, that's going to come through and my work is going to be better for it. I don't want you to think inspiration never strikes. There have been plenty of times where I've been inspired. I've seen a new photo book, saw a piece of art, listened to some music, something that made me think of this new idea that I wanted to go try out, and I ran out the door with my camera to go make it happen. That's happened plenty of times. But it's fickle, it doesn't last, and it doesn't happen when I need it to happen, right? When there's a major event in Philadelphia and I want to be there to document it, it's not always the inspiring moment, right? It's, all right, well, I have to be there and I have to show up and I have to create the work. And that is what keeps me going. Those inspiration moments would never allow me to have that moment. If you build a photographic practice and shoot often and just be consistent with your photography, it'll eventually look like you were inspired. And that's because you will have changed over the years, essentially. My photos from 2 years ago look nowhere near the same as today. And that's because I've put in the work and the hours and the photographs to make it appear as though I had some kind of major epiphany. And it wasn't quick and overnight, but it was a product of consistency. And I think that's the best part of all this. Over time, just being out there, you'll find your style. You'll build a body of work that looks inspired and looks great because you've put in the work. And I think that's really what this comes down to at the end of the day. When I want to make great photographs, when you want to make good photographs, I think the key is just make photographs, and eventually style, inspiration, and quality will come. If you like this and this was something interesting to you, please consider liking and subscribing. That'd really mean a whole lot to me and help me make more of these videos. And if you have any experiences or thoughts similar to this, I'd love to hear it in the comments. If you disagree with me, I would also love to hear that in the comments. There's no right or wrong way to make photography. This is really just my opinion. But yeah, give me your thoughts, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye, everyone.